Welcome back to another edition of Gen XYZ. This is a show where we have three generations who have to work together, talking about the issues that affect all of us in the workplace and hopefully how to solve them. I'm Pete, I'm the Gen Xer.
I'm Peter. I'm the millennial.
Boo. I'm Ashley. I'm the Gen Zer.
Today, we're talking about a problem that many are facing as they're applying for new jobs, and that is resumes getting rejected. That's the bad news. It's happening a lot. The good news, we have ways that you can address it and help you solve those problems. So, Peter, kick it off for us.
A big reason that resumes get rejected, particularly for new graduates or someone who's junior in their field, is that it's too long. So if a recruiter is looking at a resume, they should be able to easily look through it, quickly surmise what you're all about, what skills you have. And if you've got multiple pages there that they're having to dig through, that's going to be a huge red flag for them. It's going to be something that they aren't going to do, and they're just going to move on to the next one.
6 seconds is all you get. So if you don't grab the recruiter's attention with the right headline, a really clear message as to why you're applying to show them that you're the right candidate, they're going to move on to someone else and never see yours again.
So edit, edit. Keep it to one page.
We often hear about resumes being too long, but sometimes they're too short. And if you as a candidate don't provide enough of the right information, there's an equally high chance that your resume is going to be passed over for that reason.
Make sure you're listing all of your key capabilities and don't forget to mention all of your past job experience in detail.
A chaotic and inconsistent resume is a surefire way to not get the job. Whenever you are formatting your resume and creating your resume, make sure that it's consistent all the way through. If you've got all different formats, all different fonts, sizes, colors, those kinds of things are distracting, and you should never have those in your resume because all it's gonna do is make sure that a manager can't focus on what your actual skills are.
I think everyone knows this by now, but almost every company uses some form of an applicant tracking system. And what that essentially means is it has to be input into the computer in the right way before it can ever get in front of a human. So a chaotic resume that's going to be too hard to interpret isn't going to work. So keep it simple, keep it straightforward in a nice chronological format.
To avoid a chaotic resume, you could also use a template or resume builder, which you can find on Veeam Jobs to organize the information and make it easy to read.
And while we're talking about applicant tracking systems, make sure your resume contains the right keywords. This is huge in today's environment, not only for applicant tracking systems, but for recruiters as well. A lot of times a recruiter is going to get a job description from a manager and they're going to say, hey, this person that I'm looking for needs to have X, Y, and Z skill or know X, Y, and Z platform. You want to have those specific words and skills on your resume because that's going to scream, hey, I can do this job.
And you don't have to look too far to find them. Just use a job description of the role you're applying to. Pull relevant keywords and phrases from that, figure out appropriate places to incorporate them into your resume, and the problem will take care of itself.
Are you tailoring your resume for every position that you're applying for? If not, there's your problem.
Having a generic master resume is great, but you should be making sure that you are filling in specifics for each different job so that a hiring manager looking at it can see how you directly relate to their role. You shouldn't be leaving generic statements. You shouldn't be leaving a template look to it. Your resume should be customized for every single position that you're going for.
And the more relevant you make it to that specific job, the higher your chances that it's going to speak to the person who's viewing it. And if you step back and think about it, it just makes sense. And almost everything we're talking about is just applying logic to help your resume be the one that gets pulled out of the pile.
Make sure you're showing your quantifiable achievements. There's an old saying that if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And that kind of goes for resumes as well. You want to show numbers and specifics wherever possible. It's not good to say, I answered calls or I did this generic thing. You should say, I answered X number of calls or I increased sales by 10 million. Managers want to see specifics and numbers that they can actually relate to the job that you were doing.
And the way to implement that is to always think about turning tasks into accomplishments.
So there's a big reason why your resume might be getting rejected that editing can't fix, and that's because you're underqualified.
Yeah, this is an area where you really just have to manage your expectations. Make sure you're looking at the jobs you're applying for. Make sure you're looking at things like years required and temper your expectations because, as Ashley said, this isn't really an area that you can fix it with editing. This is something that you just need to make sure you are applying for the correct jobs.
No job seeker likes this, but hiring managers and recruiters tend to stay away from candidates who are overqualified. Now, you might think, and I would agree with you often, why wouldn't you want the best possible person for the job? And the reason is they're afraid that you're not serious about the opportunity. You're going to jump as soon as the next position arises, or you're going to be too expensive. It's in a situation where perception is reality. So the way to address it is to dumb down your resume a little bit. Maybe back off the titles that you use.
Take an objective look at your resume, and that might mean leaving out some certain accomplishments, but make sure it aligns with the position level that you're going for.
One more thing that you might want to try if you feel you're overqualified is to address it in your cover letter. Make it clear up front that you understand you might be more senior than the position calls for, but that you're still a good candidate, and explain why.
So this might go without saying, but make sure your resume doesn't contain errors. It's an easy way for your resume to get disqualified, but it's easy to prevent. Make sure that you are proofreading your resume or you're having someone look it over.
You can even run it through an online tool. A surprising number of resumes contain red flags, and the most common types include employment gaps, multiple short stints at different jobs.
And these are things that recruiters have been taught to be concerned about through their experience over the years. So there may be a very good reason why you have those gaps or short term jobs, but the recruiter doesn't know you. And so they have to assume the worst. It's just the way it works. So address it in your objective statement if possible, and always try to get a cover letter with a resume that contain red flags, and ideally a live conversation. Pick up the phone and make a phone call, or send a direct message through LinkedIn, or even write a handwritten note.
You'll be better positioned to make it past resume screening tools and show a hiring manager that you have the skills, experience, and characteristics needed to succeed.
So there you have it, 10 different reasons why your resume might be getting rejected from jobs. If you would like to learn a little bit more about this, we've got the long form blog that we wrote in our show notes, so make sure to check that out. Until next time, I'm Peter. I'm your local millennial.
I'm Ashley. I'm your awesome Gen Zer.
And I'm Pete. I'm still the Gen Xer. So goodbye. Thanks for joining us.
Till next time.